Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks. Today we're going to be taking a look at 4th Gaming's LNER Class Y6 little 040 Tram. This will be, I believe, my first British locomotive overview. I think it's one of the finer examples of British locomotives in Train Simulator. Why? Because I'm biased, 100%. I love these little bitty locomotives. I think little engines have all sorts of class to them. These are fun. They're unique. They're different. A little bit on the history of them. These were originally built as the GER Class G15, designed by Thomas William Wardsdell for the Great Eastern Railway. They were originally built between 1883 and 1897, with a total of 10 produced. I believe none of these survive today, so all examples were scrapped. These were used on the Wisbeck and Upwell tramway in East Anglia, later on being retired for favor of the LNER Class J70s, which are 060s, which are also available for Train Simulator. We'll take a look at later on, but today we're taking a peek at these. So, yeah, that's about it. History-wise, I'm not too deeply knowledgeable on the history of these, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about a bunch of stuff I don't know. We'll just poke around the stuff I do know. So I do know Train Simulator. I do know that these are really, overall, really nice models. I picked this up from the Forge Simulation, so if you guys have been around for a while, you probably saw my videos a while back on the BR85, the BR50. Did I do the 50? I don't know if I did the 50 yet, but those German locomotives that I picked up, that's the same website, the Forge. I believe these are available in a couple other places, but that's just the site that I picked them up, so that's the site that I remember them off the top of my head. In the pack, you will receive, I believe here I have an LNER, the late model that we'll be using to go over the different sounds and operations and such, but you also have let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different variations. I also included one of the late models over here. So we got a BR with crest. I believe this is a fictional British Railways lettering. The LNER with the E prefix. That same late LNER that I got to test with, and then the early LNER with the little red outline here. The NE. I don't remember what these two are classified as, but detail-wise, that's really all it changes that I could tell, is just the lettering. There's no real changes across the board with any of them that I can take note of, so you'll get those, and then you will get a early set of little hopper cars, gondolas, don't know what you guys call them in England, open vans. You'll get an early set and a late set. You'll get a early and late little brake car named Lynn, and then a couple cattle cars, one empty, one with these kind of fish crates, I believe is what they are. They're fish crates. You'll get a little box car here. You'll get a third class teak and a third class in crimson. Let's see, third class. There's a third. So a third in teak, a third in crimson, and then a composite in teak and crimson, and a baggage car, luggage car, whatever you guys call them. A luggage car in teak and dark brown. So it's a pretty healthy size pack. I don't know that the route that these were originally built for was modeled for a train simulator. If it was, I haven't managed to find it. But we are on a workshop route right now. And it's not half bad done. The name of this route fails to pop to my mind though. But right off the bat, these are really, really well detailed models across the board. Like everything's really well detailed. Right off, one of my all-time favorites, smoke effects. It is a very clean, very realistic looking smoke. You know, it's not too thick, it's not too dark. It's no noticeable boxy pixels or squares or like little paint splurges that look like they're just circles. It's a really, really, really clean looking smoke, in my opinion. Just a really good looking, really natural. It does look like it changes across some models. So like right here we've got a real dark color going on, kind of a dark gray. And then that one's got a dark gray. These have all got the kind of white wispiness. But I love that smoke. It's a really good looking smoke. As far as idle goes, we haven't, obviously we haven't gone down the track. We'll see if that changes much. The smoke for these brake fans, not so much. Doesn't, yeah. That's awesome. That is kind of, you notice the little dots. It looks more like bubbles. Little bubbles coming out of the smokestack there. So, not my favorite, but love that. So, I'm not going to go over the ins and outs of each and every single one of these because, like I said, to my knowledge, none of the details really change outside of the lettering, which I just showed you guys. There are no extras. So like the J70, whenever you're placing them in, you double click, it pulls out the little pop out, and you got X, Y, whatever. These locomotives are all set this way. They don't have the extra little skirts. No little plow or anything. Not from what I could tell. I didn't see a way to change it anyway. Maybe I'm crazy. One of those wonky British locomotives that actually has a bell, which is odd for England. British locomotives typically don't have bells. It's more commonplace on American, but I believe the bell was a requirement for these tramway locomotives because these locomotives spent a lot of time running up and down highways and such. So the railroad tracks were inside of roadways and whatnot, populated areas, so these locomotives were required to have a bell. I had also thought I read that they were required to have a plow and side skirts, but that might have only that might have only counted for the J70s. That man is on a mission. Don't know where he's going, but he's going. Anyway, some of the fun things you notice with workshop routes. But really nicely detailed overall. I mean, even the boards, they look like actual boards, individual boards, not a 2D object with a Photoshop shop picture. These are actually like modeled boards, which is awesome. It's so nice. It's stuff like this that really makes me kind of picky with a lot of the content we end up with the United States, because I'll give it to England. You guys have laughably better selection of models for Train Simulator Classic, and stuff like this just kind of spoils you. I won't lie. Just the proper objects. And there are some things I can nitpick 100%. I like the outline here is kind of the texture used for this framing is not so grand. The same for this framing, but the fact that the actual individual boards are modeled, boom, boom, that will absolutely spoil you, because we don't get that. 9 times out of 10 with American content, we end up with a flat object and a 2D texture placed over it, and they call it cool. So that looks awesome. Again, we zoom up. We got some nice bolts that are actually modeled. Got our chain gang going on over here. I'm not too thrilled with the texturing right here. It's not quite up to par with these boards. And then nameplate looks alright. It blurs out a lot whenever you try to get up close to read it, but it looks alright. It is actually an object with depth too. It's not just a flat 2D texture, so that's nice. These are inside cylinder locomotives, so the actual pistons are inside here, inside the frame, and then the drive rods connect on the outside. I have no honest clue what the point in that is. I don't know the point in this big old circle here that the drive rod's connected to. I'm guessing that has something to do with the counterweight. Like I said, I'm not too well versed in the history or the mechanical working ins and outs of these most British locomotives, but I thought they were too cool not to share. Unfortunately, we don't have the pistons modeled inside, but it's forgivable. You're not really gonna be in here. You're not gonna notice. As you can see, you can't see the cylinders and their drive rods and such. There's no way to really see them, so not really all that heartbroken. It's not an issue. Everything else is really nicely modeled, nice and round. Drive rods look pretty nice. Kind of blurry on the texturing, but and I will say something that I'm not entirely fond of, and this is present on a lot of models, is this kind of shininess, the shiny texture thing going on, especially down here where a lot of dust and whatnot would get kicked up. That's generally where you're not going to see much of a shine, but it still ends up there. Anyway, it's not too terribly noticed, but it is there. That's not a big favorite of mine. Buffer plates are nice. Hook and link coupling. I don't know what you guys actually call it, but that's what I'm calling it. Hook and link coupling, because there's a hook, there's a link. The air pipe here is kind of it's not the cleanest. It looks very blurry, but everything else looks really nice, especially the weathering. I like the rustiness on that. That looks really nice. We even have hinges modeled, proper hinges. These little hooks here are for your lamps, and their different designations and whatnot. I have no honest clue what any of the British lamp designations are. Not going to go through that, but you can change these. These will change out to the lamps or the paddles. So that's what these hooks are, and they are properly 3D objects, which is really nice. Our windows are a separate object. That's kind of blurry looking. And then of course our interior is nicely modeled as well, even on the outside when we're not physically on the locomotive. It's nicely modeled. I do believe all this stuff actually does work outside view. It's kind of entertaining. We don't have a driver, but as I've said, I believe in some of my older videos, I'm not too sold on the drivers. Sometimes they don't look very good. So there are no drivers in any of these to my knowledge. And of course we got our luggage van, which looks real nice. It's got nice crispy lettering, nice crispy numbering, and it is once again a 3D object. So that's nice. It's got a dull shininess to it. Really, really nice looking. Our hooks could be touched up. It's kind of entertaining. But this is interesting. Wood in the center of your wheels here. It's very different, but very neat. Very neat indeed. Nicely modeled. Bunch of 3D objects. Bunch of bolts and rivets and such, which are actually modeled, which is really nice. I love it. Unfortunately, I don't believe any of the brake piping ends up actually like hooking up to anything. I'm guessing that's what that is your brake piping right there. So none of that actually hooks up to anything. It's just there hung up, which, you know, it is what it is. There's steps to go up to the top. Very nice. Now, something that is entertaining about these locomotives is your safety valves are under here. They're enclosed to help keep the locomotives from being overly loud and scaring horses, because when these were in operation, still using horse and buggy a lot. So they're enclosed, and the piping runs right back down to a tank underneath the locomotive, and it ends up reusing that steam, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Which I can't really tell if the tank is actually modeled. I don't believe so. However, it is indeed why that pipe is there. So that's kind of cool. It's a neat fix for a unique issue. I believe this is where you would refill your water right here. I believe that is the access to the water tank, and then I have no honest clue where the coal is. The coal bunker on these things are. To be perfectly honest, obviously your firebox is right there, but I don't really know where the coal goes. I mean, maybe it's in this panel right here. Maybe it's in that panel. I really don't know. But, you know, certainly different. Very detailed. Then our teak, our coaches here. Again, really nicely modeled. Good looking wood overall. Crispy lettering. That's really crispy lettering. Really, really crispy looking emblem right there. Nice looking emblem. They do have a modeled interior. It's quite nice. I'm not sold on the lights. I think they're overly bright. So they're inside and out. I think they're overly bright and way too white. It's that obnoxious bright white light that it just doesn't fit. Even have the little leather strips for opening and closing the windows, much the same way as a carriage or a wagon. So again, nicely modeled overall, really nicely modeled. And then we got our composite here, which has a first class, boom, second class or third class here. It's kind of interesting. It's not a second class, but very different. GR 1, 2, 3. Same as the other car. Really nice, crispy lettering. Really nice, crispy emblem. And then the obvious change from third to first with the separator here. It is a little bit noticeable. You kind of zoom in, and that's not the cleanest looking, especially compared to the locomotive. I believe it's supposed to imitate stained wood, the teak, but it is kind of noticeable up close, the pixelated squares. Is it bad? Nah, but it is a little bit noticeable. It's not the greatest. Again, really nicely detailed undercarriage. Unfortunately, again, our pipings don't hook up. A little sad there, but whatever. It's really nicely detailed. Oh, cool. That's nice. It's nice and crispy. Even our chains look good. I've seen stuff put out. Hi. Another one of those fun objects that like to disappear if you look at it wrong. Or if you look at it in general. Come back. Come back. Okay, well. The foot plate here doesn't like to stay in view if you look directly at it. It likes to go away. Same for all of them. So that's a little funky, little wonky. And of course, our crimson shall be much the same. It'll be the exact same car. The difference is the paint scheme. These are a nice dark red coloring with gold outlines, which honestly I kind of like this color scheme better. Just looks better overall. But again, same details inside out, same cars, just a different color scheme. Man, their brass handrails look excellent. Even the brass fittings here look pretty decent. Their chains look really nice. It's kind of a little wonky right there. And of course our freight. Pretty typical of English stuff. These little two-wheel box cars, cattle cars, hoppers. They're nicely detailed, however. Very nicely detailed. These, I don't believe, have any air brakes. Matter of fact, I don't think they have brakes. They have brakes on one side. Right? No other brakes? Yeah. Brakes on one side. It's right there. Which is a kind of like a foot brake. Or a parking brake. Clunk, clunk, clunk. So that's nicely modeled. Different. Dang, look at that. That's even modeled. A little latch for the doors on the side here. That's nice. It's got some funky texturing going on, but it's not highly visible unless you're right up on it like I am right now. Inside is pretty nice overall. Not something you'll see all that often if you're pulling a load. Coal load is typical train simulator coal. These fish boxes are actually pretty nice looking. And our milk jugs here. Nicely detailed, empty. The tarp, I'm not sold on the tarp. It almost looks like a rubber something. I mean, maybe it is rubber. Maybe I don't honestly know, but I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. It's got this plasticky, Play-Doh-y hue to it that just doesn't really stick to me. And of course our little brake vans back here, which are really nicely modeled. They even have an interior. Our fire going in here. Nice little kind of toolbox. Really nice looking overall. Foot plates. Good Lord, those bells never shut up, do they? Anywho, let's take it for a drive. So one of the wonky things about them, if I read correctly, these do not have like a kind of set brake. So there's a release running and then constantly applying, so it'll just constantly build pressure. It's really slow, as you can see. You apply it lightly, it will very slowly apply pressure, but there is no way to like apply it and then hold that pressure. It's either applied or not applied. Well, actually, maybe I'm crazy. Right about there. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm crazy. Running holds it. That's new to me. Anywho, I believe Control 1. Yeah, that'll change your little headboard here. Different colors. Then Shift 1 will take it the opposite direction. So Control 1 will change this way, and then Shift 1 will be backwards, the opposite direction. So obviously it'll add the little lantern. Lantern lights up. Doesn't really look like a light. It looks more just like it's colored. So, it's not my favorite. As you can see, it doesn't even look like it lights up. There's no little lantern glow. It's just a very noticeable white. But, whatever. I typically don't run these things at night. Control 2 will add over here. Control 3. There it goes. Control 3 will add over here. So 1, 2, 3. And then Shift 1, 2, 3 will change it the opposite. Go away. There it goes. I'm just not sold on that. It's too bright, too noticeable. Anywho. Here's our little whistle. It's not bad. It's going to be a relatively quiet, small whistle. Again, these locomotives are meant to run on street tracks and whatnot, so they're not trying to be obnoxiously loud and scare off everything. So, relatively quiet whistle. It's got an entertaining little pop at the end of it. I don't really like the particle effects on the smoke, or on the whistle. Not my favorite. That looks much better. And of course our bell, which is animated, and it doesn't, it's not, turn the bell on and it stays. You push the bell key and it rings it. Which again, right here. So it is actually nicely animated. It does kind of stick wherever you leave it though. It's kind of entertaining. I would have thought that, you know, gravity would have. Now it does go back to center if you use the B key to ring the bell, and if you hold the B key, it does continue swinging the bell, but it doesn't make the noise, which is interesting. It's nicely animated. Now these are double-ended locomotives for operating on each end. And it does have the controls on each end. It's kind of entertaining. You can open the smoke box door. There's no real way to see. You can open these little front doors here. It is modeled. That's kind of cool. Close that and close that. So these can be open on both ends. These windows, they have a nice sound, but the audio makes it sound like you opened it all the way instead of cracking it or whatever. So not bad. You can open these doors in the middle here, or these windows in the middle, and they all translate outside to whatever they are inside. So that's pretty nice. There's no speedometer in here, so for those of you speed demons, you gotta go off your ears. Your brake pipe. Let's see. Yeah, so whatever you do inside translates outside, so you do get to see it, which is cool. It's really cool. I like it. So our pumps. Should be our handbrake. That's the seat. It doesn't show the hand, but you click it, it does pop the seat up and down. It's kind of nice, somewhere to sit if it so pleases you. So your boiler pressure here. Gauges and piping look pretty nice. And of course, you can play with bell and whistle on either side. I don't know why the bell doesn't translate inside whenever you use the keyboard, but it does whenever you do it the hard way. It's just different, but not something that's really game breaking. All the controls are fiddleable on either side, so we got our throttle, our reverser. The brake is another one of those that doesn't like to show the hand, but you can indeed fiddle with it. The texturing is kind of I'm not a fan of the kind of white gray splattering. It makes it look blurry. And then we have a head out view. Let's get rid of this. It's in the way for now. Now, this does have one of those ever common problems that kind of frustrates me. There's not a way to just turn the HUD off completely and use your mouse to run this locomotive. As far as running the fire here. It's a little frustrating there, but whatever. That is your dampers. Should be your driver injectors, sanders, cylinder cocks. Don't know what you are. I'm going to assume you're associated with... Oh, maybe not. Okay. Live steam injector, a blower. That's what your blower sounds like. Not bad. Running. Just do that. Looks like you can't control your coal rate at all by hand, because I can't click on this at all. So that's a little bit frustrating. So I do like to run steam locomotives without the F4 HUD, and it makes my frame rates so much better. Trust me, guys, those bells are getting annoying. I'm about to pull out. Careful with the jokes. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh yeah, these have a governor on them. I think that's what that is. Speed. I believe that's a speed governor. It's just kind of a unique feature to these little tram locomotives. And then I believe, yeah. So when you go to platform, open up. It opens up all the gates. It opens up the doors. There are no people sitting inside, unfortunately. But not really heartbroken over that. Doesn't bother me all that much. Our tracks are set. We will open our cylinder cocks. Boom. Cylinder cocks, Sanders. I do believe, yeah, it does. So it does have a little sand animation. That's kind of cool. I don't know where it's blowing the sand though. So it's blowing it off the tracks here, but do have a sander, which is kind of neat. It's a little nitpick detail, I know, but it's got a neat little sander. It is functional. Turn that off. Throttle forward. Does have a nice simulation effect. It does have to build up. You know, it's not a open your throttle wide and just suddenly you have pressure. So it is nicely simulated. So our cylinder cocks look like. This little doodad is animated, which I don't know what it is. It is there. And I love the chuff audio. I like how it changes with throttle and reverser. The tone and volume changes. We'll open it wide just for giggles and squiggles. It's got a really nice sounding chuff sound. Start backing off on our regulator or reverser here. Does take a minute to bleed off pressure here whenever you close your regulator, and it slowly drowns out the sound. It sounds really good. Now the smoke effects right here, I like this. This kind of wispiness is a bit weird out here. It goes from relatively heavy and thick to a really noticeable change right there. Other than that, it looks pretty good. It does look like the emitter struggles to keep up with your movements. But, again, these are not fast locomotives. For those of you speed demons that are looking to hop in and fly away, we're doing all of 25 mile an hour. I don't know what these top off at. I'm not going to imagine it'd be much more than 40. We are running downhill, so that is going to contribute to our speed a little bit. But again, really nice chuff sounds. I don't know how you fiddle with the governor here. I do hear the audible cut off of the throttle, but I don't know really how it works entirely, so it's different though. It's a different edition. Where's the brake at? Am I crazy? It's right there. One guy gets the brake, the other guy gets the reverser. So we'll start slowing down a little bit so that we're not cruising too quick. The doodad spins. The belt it's attached to doesn't. It's kind of entertaining. Matter of fact, it doesn't even look like the belt is... Is the belt supposed to be attached here? And it's just like an engaged and disengaged? I don't know. We are really cruising at 55 kilometers per hour. Oh, 30, 35. There's no real ambient noise, just a clickety clack on occasion. No squeals or anything, which, it's not bad. Doesn't bother me all that much. There is a passenger view. So, of course, here's our composite car. And then our third. I don't believe we get to sit in the baggage car. Nope. Interesting. Very interesting flowers. Yeah, they float. But anywho. Yeah, I really don't know how this... It's got a nice metallic sound. Opening the throttle full, closing it full. That's kind of a nice little thing to notice. Metal hitting metal. Man, that's a good sounding chuff. I don't get to say that all that often in Train Simulator, because all too often it's the same sounds reused over and over and over. But this thing really does sound quite nice. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Let's see how quick this thing comes to a stop. I wonder if we can lock our brakes up. Woof! E-brake. Squeal. Boy, when those brakes engage, this thing comes to a stop. I don't know that the brakes are animated though. Let's get up close and see. Oh, they are! Now they move they move with the handle, not so much with what your brake pressure is at. So not bad. Doesn't bother me all that much. I don't know that it works over here. Yeah, it doesn't work on the cars. Ah well. And then our handbrake. Handbrake does not set them. Yeah, handbrake doesn't set them. So it does stop a little bit quick, but then again, we don't exactly have a lot of weight behind us, relatively speaking. But anywho, there it is, guys. The LNER Y6 040 tramway locomotive by Fourth Games. Well worth taking a peek at if you have any interest in what would you guys call, I mean, they're called tramways. For Americans, this would be kind of, this is to England kind of what's interurban. It's kind of what interurban trains are to us. So if you have any real interest, it's well worth taking a peek at. If you like British stuff, it's worth taking overall, it's just really worth taking a look at. It's a really fun locomotive. It's relatively simple. It's a quick learn. It doesn't take a whole lot. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. So it's a lot of fun. I get a lot of entertainment out of it, especially the little the shorter heritage and scenic railroads that are available for England. These things are a ton of fun for it. They're just the perfect size. So it's fun to imagine what if one had survived. So do go check it out. Like I said, I picked this up off of the Forge simulations. There are a couple other places. Maybe it's I believe Steam Sound Supreme. Maybe they might have it. But I do know the Forge simulations has it available, so it is well worth checking out. And that's about it today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys next time.